Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner for Farmington. We will start with roll call of our Farmington Historic District Commission. Joanne Lawson,
Here.
Jim Calciano,
Here.
Michelle Fallon,
Here.
Jay Bombara,
Here.
Liz Gemsky,
Here.
Ted Sanford,
Here.
John Renahan,
Here.
and I will note for the record that Cliff Mix is one of our regular members is absent this evening.
So since he's a regular, I'm Jay Bombara, chairman. I'll call the meeting to order. Since Cliff's not here, we'll appoint Ted Sanford to participate as a regular member for purposes of the public hearings. With that, I would ask the secretary to read in the public hearings.
Notice is hereby given that the Farmington Historic District Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the following applications. St. James Episcopal Church application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace 3 doors at 3 Mountain Road. Chad Simard application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 3 mini split condensers and section of fence for screening at 122 Main Street. Hartford Baking Company application for temporary certificate of appropriateness for replacement of air conditioning with mini split system and ductwork at 767 Farmington Avenue. Brickwalk Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace front door at 775 Farmington Avenue. Brickwalk Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 8 protective bollards at 767, 769, and 771 Farmington Avenue. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public meeting. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website. A copy of this proposal is also available online at the Town of Farmington website or by calling the planning department at 860-675-2325. Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, I don't have to say that, do I? Oh, I'll say it.
Doesn't matter.
Dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 28th day of August, 2024.
But for the record, it is September 17th.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, before we start with the first public hearing, I just want to clarify. We heard from St. James at the last meeting. Did they withdraw that entire application? This is a brand new application, is that correct?
They did, because what we realized, I know we had discussed the timing, and because the commission has to act within 65 days and we went into the August hiatus, it was going to, we weren't going to be consistent with the timing. So, and since they had to come back and rework some of the information, we just redid, just to make it really clean. They withdrew, they reapplied, so thus the withdrawn
Great.
on that first application and a reapplication.
So forget everything you heard last time.
Well,
We appreciate your working with us on that. Okay, with that, I'll ask the St. James Episcopal to approach the podium, identify yourself and give us an address and make a brief explanation of your application.
Yes, thank you. Robert Sudell, 164 South Road, Farmington, Connecticut. So we complied with your request to have mullions on the outside of the doors. Our vendor says that the proposed new doors have an SDL simulated divided light, which is applied to the outside and the inside of the glass, applied to the inside and the outside of the windows as well. The windows we'll kind of take up later. But right now we're looking to have a French door and a patio door and a mailbox door replaced. And I sent photos. I don't know if they're going to pull them
yep,
up.
I can scroll right through them. So I started with the plan for orientation.
Yep. That's the old doors, obviously need to be replaced. That's a new door. That's the old door for the French doors. And that's the new door. And that's the old door for the patio. And that's the new door. And we got the trying to think what it's called. The transoms are correct now. The transoms we submitted before were not correct. These now have the correct transoms as well. So I think we met your requirements. It's up to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I'm gonna poll the members. John, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Just as always, want to verify right materials, right specs. They seem to look okay when I looked at it, but defer to some of the experts on the team.
Well, with that, I'll ask Ted, do you have any kind of comments or questions?
Well, actually, the mailbox door specs on the documents you submitted are fiberglass door with SDLs. But the door you call the French door,
Yeah.
it says it's a steel door.
Probably.
So we had asked for fiberglass, which looks more realistic.
Oh, I'm
than-
sorry.
And the patio door, it spec'd the fiberglass door, but it called for internal grids, so that one didn't match what we asked for either.
I'm sorry. Let me see. Well, our vendor will order the STL on the patio door as well.
Okay, and then the French door will be fiberglass as well?
We will ask him to order. Yes, absolutely.
All right.
I didn't realize it was ordered as steel, but we can have that done as
So
fiberglass.
if all three doors are fiberglass and all three doors have simulated divided light, I think it satisfies what we asked for.
Thank you.
Liz,
No questions, thank you.
Michelle,
Well, first, I just want to thank you for repackaging the presentation because it was pretty easy to follow. So thank you for that. The only question I have is really on the latches because they changed a little bit. Like they're not the traditional. I don't even know how to describe the old one, the pull latch instead.
Yes,
it's
the
like-
pull latches, yeah.
Yeah, instead it's like a stainless hand latch, which you can.
It's more secure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which you can see from the street. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on that and then I'd just like to hear that, please.
Well, honestly, my thoughts are, I didn't realize that they were different. But however, we're looking for more security, and I believe that the latches we presented are more secure than the latches that are presently on the doors.
Oh, okay.
I know what you're getting at, just to interject. I think it's fire code, the lever, no more thumb latch, so it's gotta be the
Right.
lever by fire coding.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out.
anything else, Michelle?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Anything else,
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne?
No questions, thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions either. Appreciate your listening to us at the last hearing and coming back with this. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to comment on this? If so, I'll let Shannon run this part of the process.
So if anyone's in the room that wants to offer comment, then you come up to the podium.
I think they probably have the same comments as last time we met.
That's fine.
So noted.
And then if anyone has called in online to offer comment on the application for the St. James Episcopal Church at 3 Mountain Road, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom and you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone's called in for the 3 Mountain Road application for St. James Episcopal Church, please raise your hand in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised and no one clearly has come to the podium to offer comment.
All right,
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve this application with the changes that Ted and the applicant discussed?
I'll make a motion to grant a temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace the 3 doors at 3 Mountain Road to include the changes of all fiberglass doors with the simulated glass lights.
I second.
There's a second. Is there further discussion on the motion? Does that cover everything? Yes. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Motion's approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for taking good care of that building. Okay, that's one down. Next, we have Chad Samard, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install the mini splits at 122 Main. If somebody is online or in person for Mr. Samard and wishes to make the presentation of the application, please.
Yep, Chad is online. Chad, you should be able to control your microphone and your camera. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Unfortunately, at my location at this time, I'm unable to just access the camera for all of you, but I do like to thank you all for being available to present this application for a new homeowner who's acquired the home at 122 Main Street here in Farmington. And so I'm open to answer any questions. It seems as if as we submitted the application, there's been some dialogue back and forth, and I believe we've answered and presented everything. So I'd love to just actually be able to answer any questions.
Chad, if you could just walk through briefly for the commission specifically what your request is, because your dialogue, your email dialogue was with staff, and now we're presenting this to the commission. So if you could briefly just explain the request for the commission, that would be helpful, please.
Absolutely. So I was contacted by a new homeowner at 122 Main Street. The home there, as you very well may know, at this point, obviously is over 50 or 60 years old. It even dates back based on the addition to, I believe, well over 100 years old. And pardon me if I don't have any accurate assessments of the age of the home. But I will say, though, at this point, with a new homeowner, excuse me, occupying the home, they showed great interest into adding air conditioning to the home. So we were contacted and we provided some information in regards to many different ways to provide air conditioning to this home. As you may have it documented in front of you, a considerably large home, quite a few bedrooms. And so at this point, as we went through the different options for the client, we came to a conclusion that there could be different opportunities and options to be able to install the air conditioning equipment, not only indoors, but obviously outdoors. And as it pertains to the commission, the outdoor obviously is the portion in question at this point. So what I present to the commission is, in my opinion, after 25 years of owning and operating a company and dealing with boards and historic commissions and clients, what I believe and the client believes to be the best option and opportunity for adding air conditioning to the home at the location of 122 Main Street. So this is not only an A option for the customer, but I believe is the A option for all parties involved, neighbors, patrons passing through on Route 4 on Main Street, as well as the town and the historic district as well. And so the information that you may have reviewed or are reviewing at this point is there is a large, shrubbery tree line that borders the two properties. And we have proposed to put all the equipment, which is the least visible option of not only from Main Street, but the least visible option from, any neighboring parties that are involved. So the equipment that's provided there, we have some shorter units, and we have one unit that, achieves maybe 48 inches tall, which is the average adolescent, 9 or 10-year-old. And so these equipment, the outdoor equipment provides the air conditioning portion, right? There's two pieces of equipment. There's one that's an indoor, one that's an outdoor. The outdoor portion is the condenser part of this portion, this system. And that'll go ahead and not only has the client opted to choose a efficient system, but with efficiency comes a unit that is quiet as well. So the idea of being mindful of new neighbors, right, and neighborly concerns, they took that into account as well. And so I believe we achieved everything that would please and appease all parties.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Joanne, any questions or comments?
I do have a couple of questions. The first one is, looking at the drawing, the condensing units seem very, very close to the edge of the property. So I think it's a question for Shannon, not the homeowner, but can you put units that close to the line?
Yes, there's no setback for condensing unit.
Okay, thanks. I just didn't know that. The other question is, since in the agenda, we're calling them mini splits, I always think with the mini splits, then you're gonna have the duct work, but I don't see that on the pictures. Am I missing something? How will the air conditioning get from the condensing units to the air conditioners?
So if I may,
Mr.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, if I may, the outdoor units in mini splits or split systems, basically there's an indoor unit and outdoor unit, as I had mentioned. Refrigeration, or refrigerant, excuse me, is carried between the indoor unit and the outdoor unit, and that is the chemical change or interaction of refrigerant between it gaining heat or absorbing heat, whether it's indoors or outdoors. So the outdoor unit is, besides any refrigeration lines at a minimal at this point, which have been identified in the application, that will come down the outside of the house in an enclosure, a decorative enclosure, which will be painted to match the house. There is no ductwork in this type of system from a mini split or a split system. You may be familiar with packaged units more on a commercial application. They may use exterior ductwork to penetrate from outdoor to indoor. They may run that up the building and then enter, or they may set those units on the roof. But at this point, there is no exterior ductwork at all that will be seen on this property.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Jim?
Yes, so there's, how much of the house are these units doing? Because there's only three, so that means you have three interior units. So it's just for the downstairs, what goes upstairs at all?
So in this project, again, we had a few different ways to, let's say, attack adding air conditioning to the home. As we navigated the options, it was in the best interest of the client to, based on, an existing home built very old, to not have, let's say, adequate basement space for ductwork, and they didn't want to give up, much room. So we and the client decided to add what is called, identified as a mini split or a ductless system for the first floor. So there will be a few indoor units that are placed inside on an interior wall on the first floor of the home, and that will serve as a multi-zone ductless system on the first floor. What is going to occur on the second floor, fortunately for ourselves and the client, we do have some attic space. There is a main house and there is an addition. Those attics, unfortunately, do not connect. And so we did have to separate indoor units. One will be placed in the old home's attic, and one will be placed in the new addition's attic. That does give the client some redundancy, right? And some options to control the house independently. But that is where you are seeing, sir, that the three units. So we have one attic unit in the new addition attic, yep. And then we have one in the old attic. And then we do have a outdoor unit, which is a multi-zone unit that connects to a few units indoors on the first floor.
I guess, how many tons are those units?
If my recollection is correct, I apologize. I am on the road. I do believe we have a 54,000 BTU unit that is on the first floor. We have a 18,000 BTU unit that is doing the second floor master bedroom and master bathroom and master closet. And then we have a 30,000 BTU that is doing the old home's second floor, 2 bedrooms, closet, bathroom, etc. So that is 2.5, 3. We're somewhere around 7 tons, sir.
Okay, all right. I just was curious how you were doing it, but thanks for keeping that stuff as hidden as possible.
Michelle?
I don't have any questions. Where you're putting it is currently well masked, and the screening would just add to that. So I'm fine.
Liz?
I do have some questions. I have mini splits in my home, so I'm very familiar with the system. And I think we've approved a couple of them here, so we're familiar. But I do have a question. It's not necessarily duct work, but you do have piping running from the unit on the outside of where it's placed in the house down to the specific outdoor unit. So how is that going to be run? Is it being run on the side of the house or the front of the house? I know you said you were gonna color it to match the brick, but how is that piping? It's not necessarily called ductwork, but how is that being run, and where is it being run from and to?
So fortunately for taking the time to evaluate everything and attack it from the perspective of not only efficiency, but, having the insight to keep in mind, obviously, any sightly issues here with the town or the client or neighbors. The side of the home that we've proposed those outdoor units to be placed on is the side of the house that we are going to be able to, fortunately, run every refrigeration line down. So in this manner, we're going to have 3 refrigeration lines that are going to be exposed on that side of the house. We have 2 longer ones that are going to start at the upper level, right, second floor portion of the home. They are going to travel down the home vertically, similar to like a rain leader or gutter. As they come down, you may even see some of those in some of the pictures that have been provided. They may not be painted to match the house. However, the client, and all parties involved have believe that it's best to probably match those and paint those to match the house. So we'll run 2 of those from the second floor level all the way down and connect to the units. And then there will be one that will be lower than the shrubbery level, viewable from any parties or any neighbors involved, which is at a first floor level. And that one's actually in the kitchen area, which actually is adjacent to that side of the house. So just for clarification, there is no exposed lines or decorative enclosures on any other portion of the house except what you may see and what you have photos to depict.
Okay, so it's gonna be run down the side of the house, not the front of the house, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ted?
The application includes a fence, and I don't think we had any detail as to what the fence was made of and what it looked like. Can you tell us what it is made of and what it looks like?
If I can interject here, could you
Excuse me, you gotta come to the
podium,
microphone.
identify yourself and provide an address? Thanks.
Hello, I'm Stefan Reich. I'm the Realtor, contractor, friend of the homeowner. We did reach out to Cape Cod Fence. They came out and they're putting a proposal together to match the existing fence exactly, design, height, and it will be painted to match the other fence. And it will be placed in the location that was put on the application, which is about 6 feet past the front of the house, right behind that first window.
Okay. Do we have a picture of what the
No.
existing fence is? No. I assume Cape Cod, it's a wood fence, right?
It's a wood fence, correct?
Okay.
I think it's solid painted black. Is what-
No, it's white.
No, it's gonna be white.
It's white,
Wait,
but it's solid.
Yeah, it's solid and it's.
it's in like, I think 4-inch kind of partitions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
But we did specify that we would match the existing fence exactly, height, material, design, and color.
yeah, Shannon's looking it up right now, so.
It's the corner of Pearl Street, right?
Correct.
That's what I'm thinking. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm trying to figure it out. Sorry, I thought it was-
So it's right
Yeah.
there. It is, so it's, the current is green, but is,
The photos, current's white.
sorry,
Yes,
the,
correct.
sorry, the image on the
Okay.
screen, they were correct. I apologize.
All right,
The Google Street View is green.
yeah,
It is now white.
that looks good to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else to?
No.
Hey, I think it's been asked, but I just want to, and again, this is a beautiful brick house, and I think about running the lines up the side of the house. So again, what material is going to be used to enclose those things up the side of the house? And, you know, I think about how much effort we think about gutters, something as simple as gutters. I would love to know more about what's going up the side of the house.
Chad, I don't know if I can speak for you exactly, but it'll be similar to a gutter leader that you see right before that shutter. And it will be painted that same color, which is the existing color of the wood side of the house, the newer side of the house. The garage side is not brick, it's wood, and it's that color. So we would match that color. So it would essentially look like a gutter leader that's painted that color to minimize any aesthetic disruption.
In what material is it?
Chad, can you chime in on that?
Absolutely. So thank you, Stefan. It's a PVC material. It comes in white, brown, or gray. And in this case, again, it is a paintable material. So Rector Seal and Slim Duct, SLIMDUCT, they're both companies that manufacture refrigeration line and communication line enclosures. So these two companies are, as you drive by every home in every town or city, in this county, those are the two manufacturers of the products. And so we're more than willing to use either one of those products to enclose this piping. But as a member of the board has suggested that she has, something similar to this, I'm assuming she has some kind of enclosure on the side of her home. If necessary, we can provide that spec, but it's basically, again, a 4.5-inch wide PVC material. It's actually, in my opinion, back 20 years ago, we used to actually go to Home Depot. We used to buy gutter leader, and we used to split it in the back and wrap it around all this equipment and in lines and communication wires. A better product, again, that is more appealing and paintable, has been, come to our industry over the past 15 years or so. And so it is very common to use all of us contractors use all of this same product. And there's just two manufacturers on the market.
Thanks, Chad. And just one more qualifying question. Is it 3 separate 4.5 pieces? Yeah.
There may be an opportunity to connect two of them and bring them down in the same, but I believe from a cosmetic perspective, it's going to be best to bring 3 individual ones down. What's great in this application is from the old house to the main house, there's a smaller ridge line that is shorter than the 2 additions. And there is 2 leaders. You may be able to see that in the picture on the side of the house. There are 2 leaders that actually run from the old house vertically down the house and the addition vertically down the house. We're actually going to mirror those. And in fact, we're going to be slimmer. We're not going to stick out just as far as those. And we'll run those down the house, painted to match the house.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, I think you answered the question I had because everybody's picking up on these things. One was the fence, so to the extent we're gonna have a motion, we'd have to include that the fence match. The second was the size of these leaders that go up the side of the house. So we're gonna have 3 leaders. 4.5 inches is the circumference of the pipe or width or how thick would you? What's the
The
right word?
diameter, probably, the diameter.
Diameter, thank you.
The 4.5 inches is the width, and the protrusion off the house is 3.5, which happens to be less than a liter that you may look at in these photos.
Okay. You know, it's obviously preferable not to have more things on the side of the house, but look, it's 2024, people need air conditioning, and I know I put it in my old house in the village, and we need to accommodate that, and I appreciate that you're trying to lessen the impact from the exterior, because you guys appreciate the house clearly as much as we all do. But before we get to a motion, is there anybody here that would like to comment on this application in the room? Shannon, do you want to poll the online?
Sure, if anyone has called in to offer comment on the application for 122 Main Street for the air conditioning units, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom, and you will be acknowledged to address the commission. Again, if anyone else has called in regarding the application at 122 Main Street for the air conditioning units, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, hearing no more additional comment, do I have a motion to approve this application as submitted with the addition of the fence? And I guess the leaders, I don't know that I specifically saw that they applied for the leaders, so want to do this all the right way, make sure you've got what you need, so you're not coming back. If we're okay doing that, but do we have a motion on that? We can take a motion and discuss it further.
I'll make a motion that we approve a temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 3 mini split condensers along with piping that will go up the house and be painted the same color as the house. And also a new section of fence, which will match the existing fence.
Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
The only thing I'll say from a technical point, we don't really control color, so theoretically
Oh.
they could change the color. That's a risk we have. Not particularly concerned about it, but just so everybody's aware of it, if they do decide to paint it pink or. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Is there anyone else who wants to make further comment on this application or motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Farmington.
Yeah. Thanks. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to see.
Love the house.
Oh, good.
Thank you for
Beautiful as she
investing.
is.
Yeah, we're gonna do everything to minimize any aesthetics.
Greatly
Just-
appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you in town. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's number 3 is down. Number 4. Hartford Baking Company, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness for replacement of AC with mini split system and ductwork at 767 Farmington Avenue.
Yeah, hi, Scott.
Is the
Scott here.
applicant? Okay, Scott, can you just make a brief presentation, please?
Yeah, so we replaced an existing through the wall AC unit and replaced it with a mini split, very similar to what we pretty. So what we need to do is we need to do some painting and we need to make it all blend in.
Okay, so you're saying, we all know, I think we're aware that it's existing, so you're saying your proposal is, or application is to keep everything the way it is, and then we can discuss what, if anything, well, we can discuss the application, you're applying for an application, is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So the pipe we want to paint from white to flat gray, make it all blend in with the building.
As I'm thinking about these mini splits, and sorry to go out of order here, but I mean, I know we don't control the paint color. But I just wonder whether there's a way that we can control the paint color when it's something like this. If it's a condition to approving. Could we, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Shannon shaking my head. Yes, I like that.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay. All right, John, any questions or comments for the applicant?
Nope.
Ted?
I'm not thrilled with the color of it. I mean, it stands out
Well, he says.
quite a bit, right? So what's that?
I think he said they'd paint it.
We can
Okay,
paint
so
it.
if you're painting it to match the building, I think that would be better.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it would look better if the piece across the back of the building were to follow the roof line, it would be far less in your face. And then the plywood,
We can
filling
paint that
the,
too.
yeah. I mean, ideally, it would have a louver or something in there or a window sash, which is probably what was originally in there. Or clapboard it.
Do we have a picture? What was there before?
That's
Well,
actually
it
a
had
good.
been the unit,
Um,
so that's
Yeah.
the former.
Oh,
So
yeah.
prior even, so that was, there was a window unit and bracket, and then this was the ductwork.
There is a louver above it, so it probably
there's a
is not a louver. Yeah.
They probably cut. the
So
hole.
it was perhaps a window, or maybe it was just cut in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was probably just cut in because here's the window and
Yeah.
so clapboard, but. And you can see there was the old ductwork. You can see where the ductwork had been.
You
Yeah, we're-
followed the roof line.
Yeah, where the old ductwork would be, it followed the roof line.
Probably
Or
has
at
to
least
do
it
with the
appears that
bends.
it did.
Probably has to do with the bends for the PVC,
Yeah.
right? So he is easier to get the 90-degree bends than the, whatever the,
Yeah.
well, I'd say 45, but it's probably not an exact 45.
Yeah.
To come down along the roof line.
I'd like to see the whole clapboarded. I think it would be more appropriate to the building than a plywooded hole. That's all I had.
Liz?
I would just agree with the comments to fill the hole with clapboard and then if possible, have the ductwork painted to match the roof, the siding and also follow the roof line as the old ductwork did. It's just less invasive.
Michelle?
I don't have anything to add to what the others said.
Same here.
Same here, no additional questions.
Okay. I'm just thinking out loud, sorry. So we don't know when the AC unit was put in. Was
But
that,
the plywood was put in. To cover
well,
it
it
up.
is a covered a hole, that's true. So theoretically, you're replacing what was there, so that is a change. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, well, we'll get to a motion eventually. Somebody wants to make a motion, they can consider what they're gonna ask for. I don't know how practical it is. I mean, Shannon, I thought brought up an interesting point was, can you bend, I mean, I assume you can, but I don't know. Can you bend the PVC to match the roof line for the purpose of their split? Whatever we call this thing?
It's plastic. That's unless you get a sweep on that angle, I don't think you can't
You
bend it.
can't. Okay, is there anybody in the room that would like to comment on this? Doesn't look like it.
If anyone is called in online to offer comment on the Hartford Baking Company application at 767 Farmington Avenue, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Again, if anyone's called in to offer comment on the application at 767 Farmington Avenue for Hartford Baking Company, please raise your hand. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, with that then, would someone like to make a motion and regarding this application, including adding things that we think are appropriate? It could be paint and or clapboard. I suppose it could be follow the roof line, but that may not be possible, but do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we grant a temporary certificate of appropriateness to Hartford Baking Company for the addition of the piping, provided that it is painted a color to match the building. And that the hole where the old air conditioner was be filled in with clapboards, again, to match the existing.
Can I ask you to clarify the motion? The patch, if you will, are you saying take out the trim boards as well and
Right.
make it full clapboard all the way across with
Yep.
no visible sense of that there was something there? Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm not putting anything in about changing the piping because I don't know that
Okay.
can be
Good.
done, but I just think matching the color would minimize the look of it.
Is there a second to? Ted's
I just add that on the back and the side, because there's piping on the side that I think it would go a long way to paint it.
Any piping?
Yeah.
Ted, it's your motion, is that right?
Yeah.
Second.
We have a second. Is there further discussion on the motion?
To me, it seems like a reasonable compromise. I definitely would like to have seen that channel go along the line of the gambrel roof, but I think that might be a little difficult. So that's my opinion.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Scott, you've got your application. I think you've heard what you're gonna need to do, but I'm sure you'll hear from Shannon in the town hall.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, number 5, Brick Walk Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness. Replace front door at 775 Farmington Avenue. If there's somebody online that could make this application?
Yeah, we've got Patrick has called in.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hi there.
Let me see if I can, I'm not sure why I'm not showing up. I'm not, but can you see me
Yeah.
or am I
No,
black?
it's
Am I-
not, here. Hang on, let me, here, I just hit promote to panelist. So if you accept that request, then you should be able to.
Okay, I can see the application. Can you hear me?
And then you should be able to, yes,
Yes.
you should be, if you want to, you should be able to toggle on your video.
Okay, I think it's there.
There we are.
Yep, there you go.
If I'm as handsome as George Clooney, then it's working.
Perfect.
What do you, state my name?
This is the door
The
application.
dentist office, the door, yeah.
We're taking them separately, so let's do the door first, please.
Okay. That is the existing door. And it's actually not the existing door. That somebody along the line replaced that. And did not do a very good job, which is one of the reasons why we're replacing it. It won't open and close as it stands now. It needs to be completely reframed and replaced. And we're recommending that this is a more traditional 6-panel that is really more in keeping with the other features of the house.
So materials and, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
replacing the whole-
solid wood.
Oh, good.
And we'll seal it and paint it probably not that same color. We'll talk to the tenant and, you know, pick a nice color that everybody can live with. Probably a navy. I think the navy would look nice.
Okay. Joanne, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
I know, now that you've confirmed that the new door is wood, it looks fine to me. But you also had mentioned the new roof, and we're not talking about that, I assume, because it's just going to be the same. on
That
floor.
that was actually
Replace
a remnant from an old application. That roof is actually only well, what's the date on it? It's a fairly new roof.
Oh, okay, so we're not talking about the roof. Good, great.
Typo.
Then I have no questions.
Jim?
Yes, are you replacing the jambs?
We're replacing the whole door. It needs to be rehung.
Including-
It's a mess.
But-
You mean to
but
give it that-
What
that-
about the jam? Are you replacing the jams, Patrick?
I think we're gonna have to use a 6, what is that, 6 9/16 jam? You mean to give it that depth?
Well, there, I guess what I'm getting at, that is a pretty nice looking existing door. And that's an issue that I have. If I didn't open that door, I have no idea, but it seems to me, I'd like to know why you're replacing that door. That's an unusual door. So it's 19th century at least. So I'm curious as to, you're replacing it with a 6-panel door, very common, 20th century door. What is the width of this door here?
It's a 6830 or 3068.
Okay. Right.
No, I sympathize with what you're saying, but that door is to try to rehang it. I think we're gonna have a persistent problem with that door. It's the hinge side has been routed so many times, and it's just barely hanging in the existing frame.
Well, that can always be fixed, the hinge side. You put a block in there and you do it over. I mean, we had so many problems with that other door, which should have never been replaced and was. That door could have been saved. Do we have any pictures, this Shannon, of maybe, I don't know how far back we can go. Is this the door that was, because this house was moved here, wasn't it? Like there were a lot of them?
Yeah, they all were.
The building was, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
50s.
all I can say, I like this door. I'd like to see it preserved. And I think
The other issue is that if you notice the hardware, that is a plate, because the door itself has also been butchered over the years to accommodate different borings and different hardware. I know exactly where you're coming from. I just think I'm going to be left with maintenance issues, and I think the blocks, we've done that and it works for 6 months, a year, and then it starts to loosen up again.
I'm not too worried about the blocking where the lock set would go, because it's common to have, they make brass ones, iron ones where they're bigger, and that's not a problem. I don't know, that it's my opinion on this. I really think that door is to me, it's like one of a kind for my purpose here.
Michelle?
I'd be curious, and I know we don't have it at our disposal what the original door was because that to my way of thinking is what you would most likely want to replicate if you could. And so in that regard, I don't really have any questions. The 8 panels are interesting. The 6 panels seem for me to be fine. That's all.
Liz?
No questions.
Ted?
I'm not sure that that door was original to the building because it seems to me to be more of a southern style door than it is a New England style door. I think a 6-panel door is a reasonable substitute for it. I mean, you could get one made that looked just like it, but not for a reasonable price. So I don't really object to the 6-panel door. The rest of it, the stuff that was submitted calls for a new jamb and a sill with a wood cap on it. All appropriate for that building. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
John?
Yeah, could you just talk to the hardware, the proposed hardware on the new door?
The hardware, I believe by fire code, it has to be a single motion. So there would be a lever on the inside that if the door was locked, the lever would unlock it and allow discharge. On the outside, it would be a single knob with a single keyed knob. So it wouldn't be that kind of plate and the look that it is now. That would be cleaned up. And I'd be happy to leave. I think that's a lion's head. I don't know what vintage that is, but be happy to leave it or put it back on the new door. And you can see the siding. We're going to be coming back at some point to ask to replace that siding. It's in pretty bad shape also. It is a strange door. I've never, it's almost as if someone added that rail. But
Okay, I'll just add, I guess, I mean, trying to be, I guess, objective. I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, is the change appropriate? And you know, we may think this is a better door or the other one's a better door. But I think that's the real charge we typically have, which we have a lot of discretion for that, is what's appropriate for the building, obviously looking at the architectural style period, obviously for better or worse modern needs. But with that, again, is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment? And hearing none, Shannon, anybody on the line?
Yeah, if anyone's online that's called in to offer comment for 775 Farmington Avenue for the Brick Lock Shop store, raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there's no one else on, so, but no, there's no hands raised. It's just.
Do we have a motion to approve the application, I guess, as submitted, and then we can vote on it and discuss it, and then I'll vote on it.
I'll make a motion to accept for Brickwalk Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace the front door at 775 Farmington Ave as described.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
I have a second. Further discussion?
If I may say, I feel pretty strongly about it, whether it's when it was moved there, that probably was the original door. I don't know if we know it. It's a nice looking door, and that's what I'd like to see that continued.
Anybody else want to comment on that or anything else before we vote? No? Okay, all in favor of the application, approving the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We have one no. Thanks, Jim. Okay, you're set on that one, Patrick. Moving on, last one for the night. I found my- It was well organized right up to the last minute. Oh, here it is. Brickwork Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 8 protective bollards at 767, 769, and 771 Farmington Avenue. Again, Patrick, if you could give a quick presentation.
Yeah, so unrelated to this, what triggered this, just a little history. The Whitakers had experienced a car hitting the front of 769. This was a few years ago. We also recently had a young lady confuse the brake and the gas pedal, also hit the front of 769. But it really wasn't, that wasn't enough warning for us. Our insurance company asked in a very polite way that we install some protective bollards out front. I'm actually surprised it hasn't maybe a local authority hadn't asked us to do this, because it's the stalls, the parking stalls are very close to the fronts of those buildings. I mean, there's not a lot of runway for the vehicle to gather speed and do a lot of destruction, but nonetheless, it's probably a good idea to have some protection in front of those buildings. And before I forget, we did some more research, and actually a 4-inch concrete filled pipe would be adequate protection. It doesn't need to be such a large 6-inch. But same style, black. They might even look a little nicer at a smaller diameter. That's actually the inside. You put the sleeve sits on top or slides over the steel. We did these at another property we have, and they came out really, really pretty nicely.
Okay, John, any questions or comments?
I curious on our precedent here, if we've ever had to install bollards before, in terms of appropriateness. Like, has anything else been considered, like, pure stone or other options versus this?
I think we recently did one for Porters
We did,
in the front.
Yep.
On Main Street.
right at the bottom of Mountain Road,
Yep.
behind their fence.
Behind the fence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just in case a car went through.
it goes through the fence and
Didn't
then
hit the
stop.
building.
That'll be helpful just to hear more about that, if it's in line with those specs.
You recall, Shannon, are these similar size?
I
Anybody?
believe they are. I believe they were similar. I believe they were concrete. They were the standard bollards that were being installed. So
How far above the ground? It's not 52 inches.
No, they're 52, and then you cut them down. 36 is a pretty standard height.
Right.
That's what typically you'd see in a parking lot. You see these around transformers. Of course, they paint them a beautiful bright yellow, which I won't.
Well, they don't have to be bright yellow.
No, where they're gonna there'll
Ted?
be a black. I think this is actually called what's this? There's a name for this particular ballard. I think it's if in keeping with kind of a colonial, almost a finial.
I think the 4-inch would be, better than the 6. It's gonna stand out less and not take up so much of your parking space. I think it looks okay.
Liz,
No questions, thank you.
Michelle?
No, I think the bollards are a good idea. I think it also protects pedestrians.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's more important. Sorry, Patrick, the people are more important than the buildings.
Right, right.
Jim?
Actually, this is an excellent idea for people sitting in tables in front of the bakery.
Yeah.
If someone
Exactly.
decides to mix up the pedals again.
Yep, it happens. Jim?
Yes, I agree. It's a great location for them. Both from a pedestrian standpoint and the building standpoint. I put in quite a few of these, and I know commercially they use usually the 6-inch. So my recommendation is I think it should be 6-inch. They're not sticking up that far, but you don't want these things breaking. To me, the installation of them is good, whether you do 6 or 4. If it were mine, I'd do 6, but
Joanne?
Yeah, I think it's too bad that we need these, but I think it's a very good idea to install them. I just wanted to make sure you're putting them in the pavement, not in the brick, right? You're not losing any of the sidewalk area, right?
I don't know that we have enough sidewalk, or not enough sidewalk, but I don't know that we have enough sidewalk to absorb the diameter of the ballard.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah.
So it's in the paved area, right?
Yes, but I would say that we're going to try to nose it up as close as possible to allow the length of the stall to be retained. Right, because it should be enough for the length of a car.
That's it.
I'll just note that your, one of the materials that you provided was a typical bollard detail, and it does show that they're 36 inches, so it should be relatively unobtrusive. And I'm going to assume that that's what they will be, or they do need to be as part of your application. Is there anybody in the room that would like to comment? Is there anybody online that would like to comment?
If anyone's called in, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. The chair, no hands raised.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion on the application?
I'll make a motion that we approve Brickwalk Shops LLC application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install 8 protective bollards at 767, 769, and 771 Farmington Avenue.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you.
I'll just, one comment between the 4-inch and the 6-inch. I think Ted makes a good point, but on the 6-inch, electric vehicles are heavy. And I know it's becoming a increasing issue of concern when you look at weights and bearings and stuff like that, because those they can damage.
It's the length of travel that's key here. There's not a lot of distance for the car to get much more than 6 or 7 miles per hour.
Well, you can come up off of Route 4 coming pretty fast with the way that angles. Not that I've done it, but. No, we don't need to talk about it. It's fine. No, we agree. I think, am I correct? We gave you the option to do 4 or 6-inch. But
Okay.
I do find some of these. Okay, thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome. Thank
Um,
you.
All right, so moving along, I see nothing for other business. Quick, or let's do the minutes before I forget, like I always do. Sandy, as usual, sent around the minutes of the July 23, 2024 meeting. Hopefully you all had a chance to quickly review. I had no comments. Does anybody have any comments? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for July 23rd, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, and then staff report, maybe, as a quick reminder, Shannon, do you want to just remind us of what's going on, some of these expiring, or there's anything we need to talk about?
So just as I think I had sent emails, so there, and I did get responses, but we do have two full members with expiring terms, yourself and Jim Calciano. And then all the alternates are up for renewal. Some are able to renew and some are not based on their own personal commitments. And this matter will be discussed at the first October Town Council meeting, which is October 8th.
Do you
So I believe-
anticipate that they, at that meeting, will be making their selections, or?
I believe they'll be making the nominations for all except one of the full members. So we have two full members that are up for reappointment. And because there's an inconsistency with our ordinance in the, there's not. There's an inconsistency because we should not have two members up for reelection. There should be one member per year on a 5-year rotation. There is an error made at some point in the record keeping, and no one in the clerk's office has been able to determine where that error, or where or when that error occurred in order to bring it forward to correct the math. So the only way to correct this so that we have someone expiring next year. So we need one person to basically do a 1-year term, or it'll be kind of a 10-month term by the time we change the ordinance. And then someone will be appointed for the 5-year term. So the 5-year position can be appointed at the October meeting. Also at the October meeting, there's an ordinance change to the Farmington Historic District ordinance to allow the town council to make an appointment for something less than a 5-year term in order to correct this. As the ordinance is written now, the council can only appoint for a 5-year term. They don't have the option to do a redacted term to correct this. And we need to give them the permission to do it so we can have the hearing and then they can do it. So it would be December. So October, it'll be brought to them, November hearing. And so December, they can appoint someone to fill that partial term to next September 2025. And then we will have everybody back on a 5-year rotation. A little convoluted, but
I
that's what
know.
we're gonna
Thank you
do.
for-
So for a few months, we're gonna run as a 4-member board, so there'll be a vacancy. And then we can fill an absence when somebody's sick or away for work, but because there's a vacancy, we can't fill the vacancy with the alternate. So we'll be operating as a 4-member board for October and November. And hopefully someone's appointed in December at the first town council meeting before our meeting in December. So.
Yeah, and I know the town's been careful and they've consulted their counsel, and that's the way it works. That's fine. I'll just make a pitch that I know some people just aren't going to be able to continue, and thank them for their service. I don't know if they want to be called out, so I won't, but I would encourage everybody, and I know we're all in different parties. If you know people that you think would be good, I have no idea what the process is, but to let your respective parties know who someone you think might be good if they're looking for candidates for the commission. I will say, since we have almost everybody here, I thought this is one of the best commissions in all the years I've been working on it. The expertise and the thoughtfulness, and I know it'll continue, but we will miss a couple of people. But so let's try to fill some big shoes. So thanks, Shannon, for handling all this.
And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to reach out. I'm happy to explain, we do have a legal opinion from the attorney.
Yep.
It was shared with the two members who it will currently impact, so it wasn't shared, board-wide, but it can be.
And then before I forget, did you have one matter you want to go over, or you and I?
So,
wanna go over something?
nope, so I have just two quick other things.
Yep.
So the Bank of America
Oh,
that
right.
I had emailed out to everybody, it seems like there's a concurrence that we got what we asked for and what they said they were going to deliver. So, unless obviously, like I said, that seals, that's got to get worked on. There's some backer boards and ceilings and things that need to be done, but it would seem that overall there's a general positive response with respect to what they said they were going to do and what they delivered on. So,
Does anybody have any concerns? I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, we're
Okay.
good. Consensus, yes.
okay, so we'll go ahead. It's nice when that happens. And then, study committee, we've been contacted by an, entity that's interested in getting, a home into the historic district. So you'll see on the town council agenda for October, a request to create the study committee, which then allows us to do all the reporting and all the other fun, history search on the property, for the property come into the historic district. And we'll go through that through the fall, to add another property in. Okay,
Yep.
so we'll do that and that'll show up. And that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Hey, I just wanted to say, Jay, this is my last meeting and I've really enjoyed working with all of you. And I think I echo your sentiments. This is an awesome team and group. And I don't have a political affiliation. I'm independent. And I think one of the things that's made this group really strong is that, I don't even know people's party affiliations except this guy. And the genuine thoughtfulness with what everybody does their job is why this works. And so one thing I think we should continue to encourage with all the members of the council and staff is you definitely need that balance of expertise and passion for what this is. So if I can be helpful and advocacy in any way, and let me know. But I think this is a high functioning team and I hope that it continues that way.
Thanks. Anybody else want to make a comment before we break? No, thanks Ted for your service too. Okay, meeting adjourned.